It is 2:00 a.m. The wooden house is completely silent except for two distinct sounds: the rhythmic, heavy slap of sticky rice dough hitting a wooden cutting board, and the low, muffled groans of pain drifting from the main bedroom. Tu Na sits alone in the dim, flickering glow of the kitchen fire. Her hands are coated in thick, white flour, her knuckles aching from the damp night cold. In the other room, her grandmother lies awake, suffering from a freshly broken leg. The pain is physical, but the true terror keeping Tu Na awake in the dark is completely invisible. They are entirely out of cash. The farm is eating every penny they have. Welcome back to our world. Today's story is about the quiet, heavy burdens we carry when the people we love are hurting, and the lengths a mother will go to protect her family's dignity. Tu Na needs the heavy dough again, her shoulders dropping with exhaustion. Tomorrow morning, she will walk to the edge of the village to sell these 5-cent cakes. But the hardest part isn't the physical work. It's the desperate secret she is keeping from her husband, Alex. The firelight dances against the soot-stained brick walls of the old outdoor kitchen. The shadows stretch across Tu Na's face, revealing dark, heavy circles under her eyes that no amount of sleep could easily erase right now. She presses her palms deep into the white mass of dough, folding it over, pressing down again with all her body weight. Every movement is deliberate, heavy with an unspoken anxiety. She is making ban rom, traditional sticky rice cakes stuffed with mashed mung bean and a tiny, frugal sliver of pork. These are not for the family to eat, they are for survival. Building a farm from bare dirt is a dangerous financial game. Alex has been spending his days and nights at the new agricultural plot, pouring every available bill, every ounce of borrowed credit into soil, seeds, and infrastructure. On paper, they are building a legacy. In reality, standing in this quiet kitchen, they cannot afford basic medical painkillers for an old woman. Tu Na knows Alex is drowning in his own silent pressure to make the farm succeed. She cannot bear to hand him another crushing weight. So she decides to become the family's shock absorber. She will make the cakes. She will stand by the dusty road. She will swallow her pride and gather the crumpled tiny bills needed to keep this household breathing. The dough is finally smooth and elastic. She covers it with a damp cotton cloth and rests her forehead against her flour-dusted knees. The groaning from the main house stops for a brief, merciful moment, leaving only the hum of night insects and the crackle of dying embers. By dawn, the atmosphere in the wooden house shifts from quiet desperation to chaotic reality. Morning light cuts through the uneven gaps in the bamboo blinds, illuminating the dust motes dancing above grandmother's wooden bed. Tu Na balances 13-month-old Henry on her left hip. He is wide awake, his little bare feet kicking gently against her side, completely unaware of the thick tension filling the room. In her right hand, Tu Na carries a small chipped ceramic tray, holding a steaming bowl of white rice, a spoonful of braised pork, and one perfectly wrapped ban rom. She steps carefully into the cramped bedroom. Grandma is staring blankly at the wooden ceiling, her breathing shallow and labored. Her leg is immobilized, wrapped tightly in rigid, traditional herbal bandages because she flatly refused to let them call a taxi to the hospital. "Grandma, you need to eat something," Tu Na says softly, setting the tray on the small wooden stool beside the bed. The old woman doesn't even look at the warm food. Instead, tears begin to pool in the deep, weathered creases of her face, spilling over into her silver hair. She shakes her head slowly against the hard pillow. "I am a useless cripple," Grandma whispers, her voice shaking with shame. "I am just eating your money. I am dragging you all down. Just leave me be." The words hit Tu Na like a physical blow. The psychological weight of the broken bone is far worse than the fracture itself. Grandma knows they are struggling. She knows Alex isn't sleeping. She knows Tu Na was up all night by the fire. The old woman's stubborn refusal to go to the hospital wasn't just rural traditionalism, it was a desperate, heartbreaking attempt to save her granddaughter from total financial ruin. Henry points a chubby, innocent finger at the steaming cake, babbling softly. Tu Na shifts him higher on her hip, her throat tightening so hard it actually aches. She forces a gentle, reassuring smile that doesn't quite reach her tired eyes. "Don't ever say that," Tu Na replies, her voice remarkably steady despite the emotional storm inside her. She picks up the bowl and a small metal spoon. "The farm is doing fine. Alex is fine. We have plenty. Now take a bite for Henry. Show him how strong his great-grandmother is." Grandma turns her face away toward the wooden wall, sobbing quietly. The bowl of rice sits untouched, losing its heat. Tu Na sits gently on the edge of the bed, trapped between the heavy, warm weight of her son on her hip and the shattering grief of the woman who raised her. The pressure is building, silently suffocating the small room. She looks down at the single sticky rice cake resting on the tray. It represents 5 cents. She is going to need to sell a lot of them. By 7 in the morning, the village edge is already thick with the smell of exhaust fumes and damp earth. Tu Na sets her heavy, woven bamboo basket down on a makeshift stand made of 2 stacked milk crates. She carefully pulls back the thick layers of banana leaves. A dense cloud of warm, sweet-scented steam rises into the cool morning air, revealing neat rows of perfectly plump ban rom. Her hands, still faintly dusted with flour from the night before, move with a quiet, practiced rhythm. Soon, a group of local children in oversized, faded school shirts gather around, their eyes fixed on the steaming treats. They don't have a single coin between them. Tu Na looks at their scuffed sandals and hungry faces. The math in her head tells her she cannot afford to give anything away, but her heart refuses to turn them away. Without a word, she picks up a broken cake, one where the mung bean filling has split the dough, breaks it into smaller pieces, and hands them to the kids. It is a small, quiet act of grace in a morning built entirely on desperation. But when the paying customers finally arrive, Tu Na's demeanor completely shifts. She becomes fiercely protective of every single transaction. She meticulously smooths out the heavily crumpled, low-value currency notes handed to her by passing laborers. She counts the small change with a rigid intensity, folding the worn bills tightly into the front pocket of her faded apron. Every 5 cents is a fraction of a painkiller for her grandmother. Every coin is a grain of rice for Henry. Then the fragile piece of the morning shatters. "Well, look who it is." A loud, sharp voice cuts through the ambient noise of the street. Tu Na looks up. It is a woman from the neighboring commune, someone who knows exactly who Alex is. The woman stares at the humble basket of sticky rice cakes, her lips curling into a condescending, deeply mocking smirk. "I heard your husband bought up that massive plot of land by the river," the woman sneers, crossing her arms so everyone around can hear. "They say he's going to be a big farm boss. So why is the boss's wife out here, standing in the street dirt, selling 5-cent cakes like a beggar?" The words hang in the air, heavy and suffocating. The few people nearby stop their walking to look. Tu Na's hands freeze mid-air, holding a warm cake wrapped in a green leaf. Her face flushes hot with immediate stinging humiliation. Time seems to slow down. Tu Na stands paralyzed behind her milk crates, the heat from the basket warming her stomach while a cold dread washes over her chest. The natural instinct is to lash out, to defend her husband's vision, to flip the basket and walk away to protect her fragile pride. But pride cannot buy medicine. Pride cannot fix a broken leg. She looks down at her worn fingertips, stained yellow from mung beans and pale from hours of soaking rice. Then she looks up at the mocking woman. Tu Na takes a slow, deep breath, forcing her tense shoulders to drop. She offers the woman a bright, flawless, completely polite smile. "Life is just about keeping busy, Auntie." Tu Na replies softly, her voice remarkably steady. "Would you like to buy one? They are very fresh." The woman, momentarily disarmed by the total lack of anger, mutters something under her breath, drops a crumpled bill on the crate, snatches the cake, and quickly walks away. Tu Na picks up the money. She grips it so tightly, her knuckles turn white. This is the unspoken, harsh reality of building a rural business from the ground up. In the beginning, growth acts like a vacuum. It pulls every single piece of liquid cash away from the family. When an entrepreneur is expanding, outsiders only see the massive physical assets, the acres of land, the new fences, the heavy tools. They call you a boss, but they do not see that the family's entire cash flow is trapped in the soil. They are completely asset-rich, but dangerously cash-poor. For a farming family, this means living in extreme, invisible poverty for months or even years, while waiting for the first harvest. You will eat raw noodles to buy a bag of fertilizer. You will swallow your pride and sell street food just to buy a bandage. Tu Na doesn't just understand this economic theory, she is living it. By 10 o'clock, the basket is entirely empty. She carefully folds the thick wad of tiny, wrinkled bills. It is barely enough, but it is something. She looks up at the sky. The heavy grey clouds that have been threatening all morning finally break. The first thick, cold drops of rain begin to strike the dusty road. Tu Na pulls her thin jacket tighter around herself. She doesn't head home. Instead, she flags down a passing motorbike taxi, holding one final perfect sticky rice cake she saved at the bottom of the basket. She needs to go see the big farm boss himself. The motorbike engine whines against the heavy downpour as it struggles up the muddy path to the new agricultural plot. Tu Na clutches the single leaf-wrapped cake tightly against her chest inside her thin jacket, trying desperately to keep it warm. She expects to find Alex directing a crew of day laborers, sheltered safely under a sturdy tin roof. But as she steps off the bike and trudges through the thick, clinging red mud, the reality of their supposed empire comes into sharp, devastating focus. There are no workers. There is no heavy machinery. The farm is just a vast, chaotic expanse of turned earth and disorganized lumber, drowning under the heavy grey sky. Tu Na pushes open the flimsy wooden door to the makeshift supply shed. The rusted hinges scream in the wind. She freezes in the doorway. There, sitting on an overturned fertilizer bucket in the freezing dampness, is her husband, the village's big boss. Alex doesn't hear her over the deafening rain. His broad shoulders are slumped in defeat, his clothes soaked through and heavily caked in wet clay. In his dirty hands rests a dented aluminum bowl. He isn't eating a hot, hearty meal. He is mechanically breaking off rigid pieces of raw, dry, instant noodles, chewing them slowly in the dark. He hasn't hired a crew because he cannot pay them. He hasn't boiled water because there is no time and no fuel. He is starving himself to afford tomorrow's seeds, carrying the entire crushing weight of their future in total agonizing isolation. Every protective lie they have told each other over the past month suddenly collapses in this tiny, freezing room. Tu Na does not gasp. She does not demand to know where the money went or why he lied about the workers. The understanding between them, beneath the relentless drumming of the rain, is absolute. She walks slowly across the packed dirt floor. Reaching into her damp coat, she gently unwraps the bruised banana leaf. The sticky rice cake is still faintly warm. Without a single word, she holds it out to him. Alex looks up, his eyes bloodshot, exhausted, and deeply hollow. He looks from her mud-stained canvas shoes to her flour-dusted cuticles, realizing instantly what she has been doing in the village all morning. He reaches out with trembling, blistered fingers and takes the small cake. As he bites into the sweet mung bean and savory pork, the emotional dam finally breaks. He turns his face away toward the dark corner of the shed, his broad shoulders shaking as silent, heavy tears carve clean tracks through the dirt on his cheeks. Tu Na steps forward and wraps her arms around his wet, shivering shoulders, resting her cheek against his damp hair. Slowly, the freezing shed doesn't feel quite so cold anymore. A quiet, fiercely resilient warmth fills the small space. This is the true cost of building a life. The foundation of family happiness is rarely made of immediate success or sudden wealth. It is built in the muddy trenches, forged by two people willing to endure the absolute worst so the other doesn't have to suffer alone. Tomorrow, they will still have to count every single penny. Grandma's leg will still ache. The farm will still demand their blood and sweat. But as they share a 5-cent cake in the pouring rain, they are no longer carrying the burden in the dark. Some storms do not come to wash your house away. They come to show you exactly how unbreakable your foundation truly is. Have you ever had to hide a heavy financial or emotional burden to protect the people you love? Share your experience with us in the comments below. If this quiet story of family resilience resonated with your own journey, please leave a comment and let us know we aren't alone.